Things that guests should not do. Here are my top tips, and this one's a long video, so I hope you got your pen and notebook ready. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and I am a wedding planner in Los Angeles, California. So if you are newly engaged, congratulations and welcome to this community. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so you'll be updated on all the tips, tricks, advice, you name it, on all things wedding planning, and you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. So the first thing a guest should not do is do not respond to the RSVP. I think that annoys everybody, or every single couple out there, that if they don't get a response back, that's annoying. So as a guest, should not do that. Please respond. Respond immediately when you know you can make it or not make it, because that really helps the bride and groom understand how many people are going to be there and what the guest count could be, because that really alters things for vendors and how many people are going to be in attendance and what the rentals are and all of that things. So it's very important to respond back to the couple and let them know if you're going to make it or you're not going to make it. I don't know why this needs to be repeated all the time, but please don't wear white, especially if the bride is wearing white. I feel like in 2021, some brides wear black, some brides just don't wear white, and that's totally okay. That's totally like their thing. But I hope you know that what white signifies is purity. And so the only person that should be wearing white to her special day should be the bride. Unless she tells you that the attire is an all white party and every single person can wear white, then wear white. But otherwise, just don't do it. Like I just don't suggest that you wear a white dress or anything like that, because you don't want to overstep and look better than the bride. You just don't. So don't do it. The third one is don't show up late to the wedding. I would highly recommend that you look at traffic, look at your route, where you're going to be, where the wedding's going to be, and make sure that you guys are there, and think about parking. Like if parking is included in the venue, then great, but if it's going to be hard to find a parking spot and all that stuff, like you want to make sure you're early to the wedding and not late. You don't want that awkwardness of, oh, excuse me, or you can't even sit down. You have to literally wait until after the bride walks down the aisle and then you can sit down. Like you don't want to be that awkward person. So just don't do it, and don't show up late to the reception, because you also don't want to be like not seeing the grand entrance and all that stuff. So definitely allocate the time to be able to make sure that you are early for the wedding. Don't come too early, no more than 30 minutes early, but that will definitely help the bride and groom so much, and the planner as well. Piggybacking to wearing white, you also don't want to disregard the dress code. So you want to make sure that you understand what the theme of the wedding is, or like what the dress code is and what they expect of you. If they're expecting you guys to be very casual and it's like at a beach or something like that, then cool. But most weddings are not really casual. It's very formal, and if you're expected to be in like a long dress, then you want to make sure that you're wearing a long dress, or that you are coming appropriately to what the couple wants you to wear. So really ask the couple, like, what is the theme of the wedding? What are the colors of the wedding? Is there a certain type of attire that they expect of you? That way you guys come and it's not awkward that it's like, ooh, we're a sore thumb, we're sticking out, like we're not how everyone else is dressed. Okay, so if the couple has like a wedding website and tells you where you can get the room blocks and all that stuff, amazing. So basically, you need to understand that the couple is going through so much, so the more questions you ask, the more hectic things can be. But hopefully they're organized enough where those questions won't stress them out, but most questions do. So if they've already given you a certain hotel where their hotel blocks will be, then make sure that you work with the venue coordinator or the wedding planner about those things. Mainly the venue coordinator or the person who's in charge of that hotel that can help you book the room block. But the more questions that you ask the couple, I think the more stressed out they're going to be. So just don't ask those questions. If the hotel block doesn't work out, or there isn't a hotel block and you have to Airbnb or like find another hotel close by, then make sure you do that accordingly. If the couple said do not bring gifts, then you don't have to bring gifts. I would say really talking to them about that. Like if they say like, I really don't want gifts, and if you know them, you know their personality, you know that they really don't want a gift, then okay, like their gift to you is that you are coming to the wedding. And most times I really wouldn't arrive giftless. Like, even if they say I don't want gifts, like, I would at least have a card and congratulating them and having some kind of saying in the card that tells them like you're really, really happy for them and everything. So don't arrive empty-handed. And if you do give a gift, then probably cash a check or a gift card or something in their registry. If they have one, then that would be amazing, but just don't arrive empty-handed. +1. So if you weren't offered a +1, then do not bring a +1. That's a surprise to the couple. That's an extra like meal that they weren't expecting to allocate or pay for. And don't also invite people to the wedding to come crash the wedding. Like, just don't do that. That's happened before to some of my weddings, and it's really, really hard to keep in control of that. But as a guest, I think it's really irresponsible and just, it's not nice to invite someone that wasn't invited to the wedding. And it's one thing to bring a +1 if you weren't offered one, but to especially tell people like, hey, we're having this wedding here, here's the address, like, come over. Like, don't tell them to do that. They weren't invited to the wedding and they don't even know the couple. Don't have wedding crashers come, please. Out of respect for the bride and groom, if you have taken a picture of them before they even posted about it on their own social media, don't post it on your own social media unless they said that it was okay. I think it's really, really disrespectful for people to take photos during the ceremony while the bride's walking down the aisle, and it's really important to be unplugged and be present in the moment because it's her or his wedding and they should be able to have that to soak in that moment. And that's why they also hire a videographer. The videographer takes those videos and photos and shares them with you guys later on when they're ready. So don't worry about that and just enjoy the moment. But if you happen to take a picture of the bride and groom, don't post about it until the bride and groom say that it's okay, or at least until they've posted about their own wedding on their own social media profile. If you are assigned a certain seat or table, do not change that. The bride and groom have most likely seated you in a certain area for certain reasons, to be with certain people that they want you to mingle with or that they know that you're good friends with, and you'll have a good time at that table, or that specific seat might be meant for you because you picked a certain meal, and then the catering team knows that that's where you're supposed to sit. And if you change where you're sitting, then you're going to get a different meal than what you thought you were going to get, and you're going to think it's somebody else's fault when really you're the one that changed the seat and it's no one's fault but your own. So make sure that you do not change your seat. If you were assigned that seat, if you were assigned that table, you were assigned that table or seat for a reason. So don't change it where you want it to go. It is the bride and groom, or the groom and groom, the bride and bride. It is the couple's choice to place you there. So stay there. Okay, speeches. So if you weren't asked to speak, if you weren't asked to give a speech or have a speech prepared, just don't do it. Speeches take a very, very long time. It's a very, very special moment for the bride and groom, but there should only be specific people that they ask to be doing the speeches, and the more people that do speeches, the longer it takes, and the longer it takes, the longer it prolongs the timeline, because there's a certain timeline that the planner set, and there's a certain timeline of how many hours the couple had paid for the venue. So to make sure you guys have fun dancing and everything, it's really important to not just make a toast or a speech whenever you feel like it. You can definitely do a speech or toast or send a video to the bride and groom outside of the wedding or before the wedding, maybe even at the wedding rehearsal. But at the wedding, like, make sure that if you're not someone that they asked to do a speech, don't do it. Don't. But if you are someone that they asked to do this speech, I would suggest keeping it under 2 minutes, no more than 5, but a good time of speech is probably about 2 minutes long. That's good, that they get the gist of how much you love them and everything. But if you go further and further and further on and on and on, then man, it just gets draining. So make sure that you keep the speech to a minimum. If kids are allowed to be at the wedding, then I would highly suggest to prepare some activities for the kids to keep them distracted during the ceremony. I think it depends on what age range they're at, but if they're antsy and that you know that they probably wouldn't be able to handle the ceremony too well, to give them snacks that are not so noisy, prepare that in advance for them. Also activities such as coloring, or maybe even having a headset in and being able to use their iPad. I've seen it done so many different types of ways from a lot of different parents out there, and parents have obviously different parenting styles, but anything that can really distract your kids from making some type of noise during the ceremony would really, really help. So that's a really, really good tip for guests if they're bringing children and their children are allowed to come to the wedding. This is really, really hard for a lot of people who are very critical, but don't criticize the wedding, especially in front of other guests or in front of the vendors. You might hurt their feelings, or especially the bride and the groom. Like, it's their wedding, it's how they wanted certain things done, it's how certain things happen during the timeline, and however things play out, like, you shouldn't talk about how the wedding should have gone and all that stuff in front of them. I think you can probably talk about it if you really, really want to after the wedding's over in private. I think also the 2 cents of putting in your 2 cents also doesn't make sense to say, because it's not going to change anything. What happened happened, unless they ask you for, like, I don't know, advice, or like, you know, they want your opinion. If your opinion wasn't asked, then don't do it. I've seen a lot of times where people criticize certain things and they don't understand what actually happened. Like, they don't understand what actually happened on the couple's standpoint, or also the vendors, and kind of criticize too harshly or don't even know the full story to things. And I think that happens obviously with like a lot of situations in life, but yeah, just don't criticize the wedding. Okay, so this one is a very, very good tip, and my tip is do not propose, do not get engaged at a wedding. It's been cute, and I've seen it before online where the bride gives the bouquet toss specifically to the person that she knows is going to get engaged. And if you want to do that, like, I think you should talk about the couple to let them know that's happening, but I definitely don't think you should surprise the couple about it if they're not down for it. But just don't do it in general. Don't think that it's a good idea to propose, because you're stealing that spotlight away from the bride and the groom, or the couple in general. Like, it's their day. They should be able to enjoy it. It shouldn't be like giving the spotlight to somebody else. So I would suggest just no proposals, and don't get engaged at the wedding, because it's not your day. It's their day. Okay, so there's many more tips, but I feel like these were the top tips to give you guys. And if you loved it, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up, heart, like, subscribe, you name it, because I will see you guys at the next